Welcome, everyone. I am so pumped to guide you through this comprehensive React explainer. Today, we're going to build your knowledge from the ground up, treating it exactly like constructing a house. Whether you're a novice or a seasoned developer looking to refine your structure for 2025 and beyond, understanding not just how to write React, but how it actually operates under the hood and how to scale it safely is absolutely crucial.
Okay, here's our blueprint for today. We'll start with the foundation, Vite setup. Then, we'll check out the engine, the virtual DOM. After that, the architecture, folder structure, and finally, the inspection, troubleshooting errors. Let's dive in.
Section 1. The foundation, Vite setup. Pouring a lightning-fast base for your app.
Now, to start building anything, you obviously need the right tools. And in the modern React landscape, the way we pour our foundation has completely changed. I mean, ask yourself, why wait minutes for a React app to build when you can get started in seconds? In a world where development speed is everything, sitting around waiting for a local server to spin up just doesn't make sense anymore. We're seeing a massive shift right now. Create React app used to be the gold standard for years. But let's face it, it's deprecated for modern projects. It's heavier, it's way slower, and it even restricts your app names to lowercase only. Crazy, right? Instead, we're pouring our modern foundation with Vite. Vite gives us a lightning-fast startup and an incredibly optimized development experience, making it the absolute ideal tool for single-page applications. And you know what's truly incredible here? Just how simple the actual commands are. Once you have Node.js installed for your runtime environment, it is literally just a few keystrokes. You run npm create Vite at latest in your terminal, select your React and JavaScript or TypeScript options, run npm install, and then npm run dev. That last command spins up your local server, typically on port 5173, in seconds. Boom, your foundation is poured and you're ready to build.
Section 2. The engine, virtual DOM. Exploring the electrical wiring under the hood. All right, with a solid foundation set up, let's look at the electrical wiring that makes the lights turn on instantly. React's real superpower isn't just in how you write it, but how it renders. The crucial takeaway here is that React doesn't actually talk to the web page directly right away. The actual document object model, or DOM, is this big hierarchy of elements on a page, and updating it directly is notoriously slow. So instead, React uses this virtual DOM, which is this incredibly fast memory duplicate, as a middleman.
Here's how it flows. When developers write markup, it goes through a process called tokenization, literally moving from bytes to characters to tokens. Those tokens are then arranged into a tree structure right in memory. So when a user interacts with your app, React processes those UI updates in the virtual DOM first. It figures out exactly what changed by comparing the new state to the old state, and then it updates the real page in one blazing fast batched sweep. This right here is exactly why React feels so snappy.
Section 3. The architecture, folder structure. Framing the rooms so things don't collapse on us.
So, now that we've got a super fast engine, we really need to frame our house so it doesn't turn into a chaotic mess. Architecture might not be the flashiest topic, but trust me, it's the difference between an app that lasts and an app that completely collapses under its own weight. We've all been there. It's incredibly tempting to just dump all your code into the source folder, leaving everything inside app.js. And sure, that's fine for a quick weekend prototype. But the pros know that as your features multiply, this one file to rule them all approach will quickly sink your app. We absolutely need clear boundaries.
By default, a Vite installation gives you a very specific layout. You've got your public folder for static files served directly to the browser like your index.html foundation. You have your Node modules, which stores all your project dependencies, and honestly, you generally never want to touch those files. You have your package.json blueprint listing all your tools. But that src folder, that is your main workspace. That's where your React components and logic live, and it's where you're going to spend 99% of your time coding.
As your project grows into 2025 and 2026 standards, breaking that src folder down is how you keep your sanity. You'll want to separate your reusable UI blocks into a components folder. Your custom logic goes into hooks. General helper functions? Throw them in utils. But the absolute biggest game changer is the features folder. This is a domain-based structure where you group code by its actual business purpose, like authentication or user profiles, rather than just its file type.
To actually make that architecture work, though, you need strict rules. Code should flow in one direction, from your shared folders into your specific features. Features should never reach in and import directly from other features. Instead, they interact through a public API, usually an index.js file that acts like a gatekeeper. But my favorite rule for this architecture is what we call the delete test. Think about it. If you knock down one room in your house, the whole roof shouldn't cave in. If you delete a feature folder, it shouldn't completely break your other independent features.
Section 4. The inspection. Troubleshooting errors. Let's fix those plumbing leaks.
For our final phase, we're bringing in the inspector, because no matter how rock solid your foundation or architecture is, you are going to run into errors. First up is the classic invalid DOM property warning. When writing standard HTML, you naturally use the word class, but because we're writing JSX and React, which is just JavaScript under the hood, class is actually a reserved keyword used for object-oriented programming. So we have to always use class name instead, which React then translates properly for us.
Okay, next up is rendering lists. It is so incredibly common to map over items to make a list and then completely forget something crucial, a unique key. If you forget to give React a stable, unique key prop, its virtual DOM gets incredibly confused during updates. It literally doesn't know which item changed, and that leads to massive performance drops and some really weird bugs. Always provide a stable identifier, like a database ID, as the key.
Oh man, then we have the dreaded infinite loop, often staring back at you as the maximum update depth exceeded error. This happens when a state setter, like setCount, is called directly in the main body of a component. Doing that triggers a re-render, which calls the function again, which sets the state again, infinitely. You never want to call a state setter directly in the main body of your component. You've got to tie those event-driven updates to an event handler, like a button click, or run them inside a useEffect hook.
Finally, let's talk about memory leaks. Say a component fires off an asynchronous task like fetching data, but the user clicks away and the component unmounts before that fetch even finishes. Trying to set state on a component that no longer exists, that causes a memory leak. To fix this, you should always return a cleanup function within your useEffect to track if the component is still alive, ensuring you only set the data if the component is still actually mounted. Which brings us to our final thought. You know, React strict mode in development intentionally runs your effects twice, specifically to help you find these exact bugs. So you really have to ask yourself, are your side effects truly idempotent, meaning they can run multiple times safely, or is React about to expose some serious memory leaks in your plumbing? Keep building that solid foundation with Vite, keep your folder architecture incredibly clean and strictly bounded, and let that question guide your debugging. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer. I really hope this blueprint serves you well on your next build.